Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to this week's AMA. Um, I think we're gonna just get started. Charlie, do you want to start with the dev update?
Yeah, let me start with the dev update. So as many of you on the call know, we pushed out a number of fixes and changes on Monday. That would have been, that was included in that were some enhancements around the resource chain and around the skills widget. There were also a number of fixes in there to update the values, make them more correct throughout the website and how they reflected the what's on the blockchain in the Thrive engine. So we did that. With that also came a few bugs, which people have noticed too. So we got on to fixing those. On the transfer token bugs, which I know is kind of a big one, we have a fix for that. We're testing it now. That should be pushed out pretty soon here. I don't know if it'll go out today, but it'll at least go out in the next 24 hours. So we should be good with that. Um, and then there was another issue that was outstanding. They got the bat phone going. That's a little bit around active collection strength for those with ownership cards or sponsorship cards. We have a fix for that as well. So we're working on. And we should be able to release that shortly as well if it's not already been pushed out to production. Um, so we're making sure that we've got those two are the highest priorities, but then we also have a number of other fixes that we're working on as well, just to make sure everything's running well. Then we have the hazards is now connected to the weather system, and it's in testing right now. So we're planning on testing it over the weekend, and hopefully we're going to get it out on Monday at Tuesday at the latest. So we'll have all the new hazards out there connected to the weather system, or the weather simulation. So we'll get the realism, and then we've got the UI updates that go along with that, and we're really excited about that being a really good experience. As and along with that, um, we've also been doing a lot of work around we have major and minor hazards. We have a number of things that go along with it, and so it should be not only getting hazards back up, but there will also be enhancements to it, which we're excited about. And then we're continuing to get really close on the free to play experience for the onboarding. And we're just really tying up the last bits of UI and making sure we got good testing on it. And then we have also started and made very good progress this week on the expansion missions, what was colony development, and building that logic into the Thrive engine. So the guys have been really busy this week. I say that every week probably, but definitely true this week. And we're really excited about the next couple of weeks to come too, as we get hazards out, then expansion missions, and make some of these big fixes so that the game's playing really well and moving forward.
Yeah, thanks for that, Charlie. And to answer your question, Janut's expansion missions, I would expect in the next 2 weeks, we should be able to have that out. We're deep in development there, and yeah, we should be able to wrap it up and get it out there. That will include the first surplus missions going out. And for those of you who are new or don't know what surplus missions are, they're essentially a new type of expansion mission that you contribute Marcia to, and then you get NFT rewards uh, from the pool. So there's construction, which you get basically construction NFTs, construction related NFTs, convoys, which are equipment and astronaut related NFTs. Yes, correct, Sam Cam. You might get, but you will have a larger chance of getting an NFT in these pools because they have significantly more NFTs in each mission. Some of them have, I think, over 100 NFTs in the pool itself. So it's pretty crazy, pretty cool. And then the last there's four types, right? So I went through the three, and then the fourth is innovations, which are scientific research related NFTs called discoveries, and then we have data related NFTs in those pools as well. So all of those will launch at the same time when we release the feature, and each one of those mission types has different durations, and the durations correlate to um, the realism of the mission. So convoys have more duration and typically larger payloads, whereas construction has a little bit shorter of a duration. So, yeah, any other questions so far on the development updates? Let's go over how hazards are going to work. We're going to publish this Medium article, but I thought it would be probably a good thing for us to just go through it together, just walk through the different details, how it works, and we can answer questions around it. So the system is going to launch next week, as Charlie mentioned. The goal with this system is to align it more to realistic data and have the hazards be simulating not only more accurate, weather patterns and those sorts of things, but also damaging equipment and astronauts in a way that makes a little bit more of like a correlated connection with the source climate data. The climate database we're using is it comes from a group of research institutions that basically have used this really interesting piece of equipment to collect temperature, pressure, dust, and other climate variables on the surface of Mars. And then they've aggregated that and projected out for multiple years how weather patterns would happen over the surface. So we took the climate information from our location, which you can go to the data platform and see where that is. And then we use an algorithm to process that data to create natural weather patterns. So the climate database has temperature, pressure, light, and 35 other climate variables. We have proprietary algorithms that create weatherized data. And that data has, essentially, it's creating smoothing and stepping between the different points of data. The climate data is then checked against hazard triggers to determine how likely a hazard is going to happen. And then there's a randomization that happens to determine if the hazard will hit. If the hazard hits, then it determines the damage of each item based on the resistances. So resistance is a metric that's tied to each ownership card, and it has to do with how many supporters are utilizing that ownership card to produce resources, and a couple other factors. The item is then updated for health and weather status, and then it repeats hourly. So this is just sort of the overall system, how it works, and the hazards themselves are also a little different. There's now primary and secondary hazards. Primary hazards occur directly from the environmental or natural causes from Mars. So this is where we take the weather data and we use that to trigger primary hazards. This includes dust storms, screeching winds, static storms, and brittle airlines. And there's certain ranges that cause dust storms. All of this is published in our player guide, so you can actually look at the different ranges that cause hazards. And then secondary hazards are typically layered on top of primary hazards, or they might um, trigger a higher likelihood of a secondary hazard occurring. And so, for instance, if Brittle Airlines is active in the settlement, contaminated ice has a higher chance of occurring. Other hazards include crop blight, viruses, mechanical failures, and injuries. So, injuries is a new hazard type, and this one is going to cause health damage to astronauts. Injuries are something that is going to happen on Mars, so we wanted to make sure that that's in the game. So, what I was mentioning before, there's a possibility for multiple hazards to hit an item at once. And previously, only one hazard could affect an item at a time. And this models real life a little bit more. If a solar panel gets impacted by a dust storm, it's going to be dusty, it's going to produce less power, but the dust might also cause a mechanical failure in one of the actuators or something like that. So we are modeling that a little bit closer with the ability for multiple hazards to hit. And think of each hazard having an intensity, and that intensity creates a damage value, and that damage value gets layered on top of each other to result in the ultimate health of the ownership card and the cost for reactivating base cards. The other change is mechanical failures and injuries will have major and minor variants. Major variants will just cause more damage. Minor variants causes less damage, and um, we wanted to create a little bit more variation there. So it's those two have major and minor variations. The other thing that we got feedback from was intensity ranges were confusing in our first version. They went up to 200. So what we did was we normalized intensity ranges for hazards to go from 0 to 100. And we did this because it's just a lot clearer. If you have a 100 intensity hazard, you know that that's the most intense it can possibly be. And if it's a 10 intensity hazard, it's very minor. And then damage is typically just intensity divided by 2 for major and primary hazards. If you have a minor hazard, it divides it by 4. So that's kind of cool because now damage will scale up with the intensity. So that's a little bit of an improvement there. And one other thing that's pretty nice is resistance has been adjusted across the board with this new intensity range. So resistances have been lowered overall, but we kept the specialty bonuses as the same effect. So specialties bonuses actually have more potency now, and that's a little bit of an improvement for those that have specialty skills. I talked about dynamic damage scaling, so that's a thing. And then, oh yeah, base card deactivation will happen a little differently because we are now using the blockchain-based Thrive game engine. So what happens is over the course of an hour, the game engine is processing cards in batches. And so certain cards will get processed first, certain cards will get processed last, and there's sort of a randomization to it. But this is actually a little bit closer to realism because, a if a virus goes through the settlement, not everyone's going to get sick at the same exact time. So it's going to stagger a little bit. And the way the engine works, 10 minutes after the hour, uh, one astronaut might get a virus, and then 50 minutes after the hour, another astronaut might get a virus. So it's a little bit more in real time and staggered. So it creates a slightly different dynamic there. And again, it's basically just batch processing those cards, so it's not all happening at the exact same time. So those are the big changes with hazards. A lot of a lot of this is improving realism. The other thing that's really cool is us using this climate database so that we're tying the likelihood of hazards to real environment data, or as accurate simulated environment data as is possible to get at this time. And so, yeah, we think that it's going to be a really interesting, engaging system that will also cause some nice, scarcity in resources, which over the last few months, a lot of people have been stockpiling tons of resources because we've been working on this system. And so I think this is just overall very healthy for the game to have this dynamism, and you'll start to see repair tokens and medicine tokens get used up a lot more, which is a good thing for a normal functioning game economy. So that's the overview. Let me go back to the questions. Should we expect repair costs for this new hazard system to be more realistic according to item complexity? Like a big difference between repairing a solar panel and a megapower reactor, for example? We'll need to get back to you on that. I don't have the answer right in front of me, but we can look at the repair costs and make sure that those answers are for you guys. Just curious what happened to Mars quakes. Yeah, so we had some more chats with our scientist friends, and they said that Mars quakes are very unlikely to happen or affect equipment. And so we decided to remove that hazard type. The Martian doesn't want Mars quakes back.
Clearly not.
All right, so can you give an example of the cost repairing healing a card? Um, Again, the exact costs, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll just put a example in the article, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the right information. So I'll get back to you guys on the repair costs. Can you guys make zombie cards to make a base march or something, selling or trading construction utility vehicle, ownership card? So we're looking at this, potentially having uh, partner projects produce a small amount of resources or Marcia, but for now, it's not something that we can promise yet. Yeah, so the repair trick was tricky before sometimes. Now it sounds like it will happen more. So I hope the alert system is solid. The repair goes through more consistently. Yes, the repair system is going to be significantly more robust because it's now tied to blockchain transactions. So it's a much simpler interaction to repair, which will mean that it's going to be significantly more reliable. That's one of the main reasons we uh, it was a big factor in considering moving to the blockchain. And you can already see um, there's there's a consistency with the blockchain transactions in various pieces of the interface. I know that we did have a bug where withdrawals were not coming up, but that was not blockchain related. It was related to a library that interfaces between JavaScript applications and the Wax API. And so it was not blockchain related. And so those sorts of bugs that we were seeing were really just small things that, once fixed, the underlying system is significantly more stable. So you won't have issues with repairs not going through or reactivations not going through. And that's obviously very important, especially since hazards will now have a lot more frequency. So, and then the other thing is the Discord notifications, the Mesa bot will also be firing off hazard alerts. And who knows, maybe we can make it personalized as well. So that's something that the Discord notifications will be back up and running. When resource chain fixes show actual production. So Charlie mentioned that at the beginning of the AMA. We have a fix in developments. The push should have already either been out or it should be out tomorrow, right, Charlie?
Yes, I was doing one little check on that, but I'll update if it's different than that. But that I think is the exact schedule.
Yeah, and just to give a little bit more context on that, the blockchain was producing the correct amount of resources. The blockchain had the correct amount of collection strength. And we found an error in the way that we were calculating and displaying our collection strength for ownership cards and sponsorship cards in some rare cases on the UI. So we were able to identify that and fix it. And what that means is that for those who have multiple ownership cards, you'll now see the correct production and consumption of your resource chain in the resource chain view, and the collection strength will also be accurate. So this is really just for owners. And thank you, Martian, for helping us troubleshoot that. Hotfix for ship hanger situation, for example.
Let me quickly look into it. It's going to take me a few minutes though.
Well, while you do that, why don't I show you guys a little preview of our new website? We're not quite done with it yet, but with these AMAs, we like showing previews of things we're doing. So the website is changing slightly. We are going to have our homepage. We're going to update this video here to show some Martian resident footage. And we have a slightly different interaction. So once you scroll down, we're explaining, we're actually now producing multiple games. We're a game studio. And that's a big value add, right? We have multiple titles, one out, one in the works. So we have Mission Control and Martian Resident. And as you scroll down, you'll see that it opens up and shows you that they share the same economy with different tokens. And Mission Control is used to generate missions. Martian Resident is used to fulfill missions. So we think that that's a really cool interaction there. So let's learn more about Martian Resident. Oh, you can also go up here and it will have games now. So as you scroll down, you'll see customize your astronaut, which has the different astronauts. Move to Mars, buy a ticket to Mars, choose your identity, get starting inventory and housing. So for those that have a astronaut character, what we'll probably have is some level of starting Marsha resources and somewhere, pretty basic for the astronaut to sleep and recharge. So sort of like a sleeping pod, it might be shared housing, something like that. Obviously, the goal will be for you to move out of that, get your own apartment, get your own house, and expand across your all the inventory that you have. But everyone would start with something simple. We've built out some more around the ticket presale. So these are the bundles. We have the standard ticket bundle for 14, the ultimate ticket bundle for 39, legendary for 229, and then the founder ticket bundle. We may have some physical items for the founder ticket bundle, including some Martian clothing. So it'll be a really cool bundle. And you can see the different items in here. So it creates a ticket for you. There will be mystery crates. Mystery crates will have very valuable things inside, including land discount vouchers up to 25%. The in-game cosmetics are going to be really interesting. We'll give a little preview when we're ready with that. And also mission control crates, which will be mystery crates for mission control that include ownership cards. Marcia will have a 20% discount for all items across, and there will be additional discounts for those that are providing liquidity. I believe the discounts total up to 40% if you're one of the top liquidity providers, and we'll give more details when that's ready. So the first big gameplay is around exploring, so explore the frontier. And we have a nice little trailer here. And we have some different fun footage from the vehicles, exploring, driving around, going to different objectives. We have an endless supply of missions, so this is calling back to the mission control game, which will be supplying the missions. And the way this will work is when items get damaged with our new hazard system, the owners have an opportunity to owners will no longer be able to repair their items in mission control. What they will do instead is they will allocate a certain amount of Marcia to enable Martian residents to repair their items for them. And the way that the Martian residents repair is they fly the drone to the items that need repair. They scan the item. Once they scan it, they get a little bit of that Marcia and some XP. And then once an item's scanned, it becomes a repair mission. And the repair mission is where the Martian resident will go and actually repair the item using a repair toolkit or medicine kit. And once that happens, the health of the item increases in mission control. We have vehicle wraps that we're going to be releasing. These will be in the mystery crates, so you can see how these look on the rover. Solar panel farm is a no drive zone. Someone's going to be jumping off the solar panels with the rover. And then this one is probably new. I don't think people have seen this yet, but we've actually been in discussions with Amazon on some ways to create multiplayer environments. And this is a little preview of what this can look like. So we have drone racing with your friends. We have Mad Max style buggy racing. And we'll have much, much more. So lots of competition for Marcia, for XP, for bragging rights, for vehicle skins, all of that. So yeah, we're showcasing all of that in the website so you can really get a sense for this. We wanted to bring this to you guys so you can check it out, but also this is important for us to get out into the world so that we can raise awareness for it. And the the other blockchain ecosystems like Binance and Polygon are also going to be coming into the game. So we want to make sure that they have the footage they need to see what the game will be like. So yeah, that's the update on marketing side. We're going to be doing some more marketing efforts as we ramp up for the ticket presale, which will mostly include interviews, podcasts, AMAs with other ecosystems. And if you guys have any, ideas on places you'd like for us to go and promote the game, let us know. That always is helpful for us. And with that, I think we can turn it over to questions. If we allocate Marcia to repair cards, what happens to repair token? Oh yeah, you'd have to allocate. Hopefully, you guys are seeing the mass market potential of this game because there's things that are like that which can be really unique. There's the multiplayer elements. And the way we're thinking about multiplayer is to have a persistent session that people log in and out of. And the session's just continuing on in time in the same time scale as mission control. So construction missions are happening at the same time that people are playing Martian Resident. Missions are getting generated in real time. And if you and your friends are playing at the same time, you'll be able to play together. So it's not isolated sessions that we want to do. We want to actually have it be persistent. Yeah, one of the lawyer astronauts going to be flying to Mars.
That's pretty
Okay,
cool.
so sorry I may have understood wrongly. Did you say that owners will not have to spend repair medicine? So they will have to continue spending repair and medicine. However, the difference is that right now in the game, if you spend repair and medicine, your item gets instantly repaired or your astronaut gets instantly healed. The difference will be you have a think of it almost like an escrow where you're putting in repair or medicine tokens, you're locking them away, and you do that in mission control. So let's say you have a pool of 500 repair tokens in this pool that's allocated to your ownership card. Let's say that ownership card gets damaged, then let me go back for a minute. So you have 500 repair tokens. Let's call it a solar panel array to repair your solar panel array, and then you also put in 500 Marcia. And so there's these two pools that are tied to your ownership card, and every time it gets damaged, the Martian residents that repair the item, they take from those pools to repair that item, and it's all based on the cost that it would be required to repair the item. So let's say that the item gets damaged, it's going to cost 10 repair tokens, and um, so so what would happen is the Martian residents would go out, they would repair the item, and it would bring your pool down to 490. And so you're spending those repair tokens. And then the thing we want to do with the Marcia, so imagine you have 500 allocated to that pool. Well, what you could actually do is you could bid up the Marcia bounty that you would pay for the repair, which would knock up your item in the queue of priorities for Martian residents. It would basically promote your repair above other people's repair. So, for instance, maybe the baseline job would cost 10 Marcia to repair, to incentivize Martian residents to repair the item. Maybe you decide I'm going to actually bid it up to 100 Marcia, which means that if a Martian resident repairs the item, it's going to cost me 100 Marcia, but I'm going to get repaired quicker than other items because I'm paying more for my repair. Yeah, Stephanie, that's a great point. Repair, Marcia is almost like gas fees, and it's a priority. It's a prioritization of how quickly you want your item repaired. And again, what we're looking at is Marcia utility. Marcia needs to, in order to incentivize Martian residents to play the game, we need to incentivize them with Marcia. That Marcia, we'd like as much of that as possible to come from the mission control game, because we want to start producing the circular economy effect, because that's going to create a really sustainable long-term shared game ecosystem. Let me know if that's clear. Okay, thanks S7I. And we'll explain it, I think, a little bit more visually, and we'll have walkthroughs and that sort of thing once we get this stood up. But I wouldn't expect that to be in the first version of Martian Residents. That would probably come in a later version. The first version will be more of a single player, simpler mechanic. But we'll get there. That would be the highest priority, is to connect the hazard system and the repair system between the two games. All right. What significant has the percentage of colony ownership? I'm not sure I totally understand the question. The percentage of colony ownership is the amount of ownership cards you hold relative to the total supply. So the significance is really that you hold more ownerships than anyone else. We don't have any additional. It's basically one of our leaderboards. Yeah. We do want to. One of the things we have on our roadmap is the first version of governance. And one of the concepts in governance is voting power. Voting power is the weight that your vote holds relative to other people's, and we'd like to have the amount of collection strength you hold be a factor in your voting power. So that's another mechanic that if you have a higher percentage colony ownership, you'll have higher voting power. If you're a landholder, you'll also have high voting power, that sort of thing. We've also been hard at work designing land and getting that ready for later this year, early next year. It's shaping up to be really interesting, I think. And for this ticket pre-sale, we also intend to make the store public. So you don't have to have a game account to buy stuff from the store. All you do is connect a wallet and purchase. And you can purchase in the currencies that we support. We think that that's going to be important to attract new players in, new NFT collectors as well. So we're going to have that in place as well. And that will basically The store will look the same, except we will have additional pages where you can buy supply crates or tickets to Mars and then eventually land. What card owner will be the one able to repair other people's cards? So when Martian Resident is out, you won't need any cards to repair. You just need to be a Martian Resident and then choose a job and then fulfill that job. The Before Martian Resident is out, the only person that can repair is the holder of the ownership card. All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Anything you guys want to add, Charlie, Stephanie?
No, I think I'm good. Stephanie? All good.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys. We'll see you in the chat.
See you later, everybody.